Today, we are going to explore a powerful and fascinating question: can trauma be inherited? This isn't just a philosophical or therapeutic idea anymore. Over the past 20 years, science, from epigenetics to neuroscience to trauma studies, has begun to uncover mechanisms that show us how pain, stress, and even resilience can travel across generations. And, of course, in family constellation work, we have witnessed this for decades. Invisible threads of loyalty that binds us to our parents, grandparents, and beyond. Today, I bring these worlds together: constellation practice and cutting-edge research. We look at what the science says, how it's applied in other professions, a case study from research and one from a constellation workshop. And finally, a meditation to help you release inherited burden. Welcome to the Family Constellation virtual podcast. I'm your host Maya, and with every episode I take you deep down into family systems in search for ancestral healing. I have close to 20 years of experience in this field, working for international clients, workshop participants and trainees, as a systemic coach and facilitator with a bachelor degree in Family Constellations in the method of Bert Hellinger. Here we are exploring hidden dynamics and family secrets, finding what heals the family wound and what brings happiness and freedom to our lives with case studies, insights and interviews around family constellation and related soul healing modalities. Epigenetics is a study of how experiences influence gene expression without changing DNA itself. Think of DNA as a script, and epigenetic marks a stage directions. They tell the body when and how to read the script. Trauma, stress, and other factors in the environment can alter those directions. In 2014, neuroscientist Isabel Mansoy and her team in Zurich published groundbreaking findings in Nature's Neuroscience. They exposed mice to early life trauma, repeated unpredictable separation from the mother combined with stress. The traumatized mice developed depressive and anxious behavior. But here's the key: when those mice had pups, even though the offspring never experienced the trauma themselves, they too showed anxiety, altered metabolism, and differences in brain function. The research revealed that trauma left biological tags on the DNA in the sperm. Those tags, mainly DNA methylation and non-coding RNAs, were passed to the next generation. It was one of the first clear demonstrations that trauma imprints can cross generational boundaries through the germline. This is echoed in humans. Rachel Yehuda's work from Holocaust survivors and their children showed changes in the FKBP5 gene, which regulates the stress hormone system. Both survivors and their children had altered methylation patterns, leading to increased vulnerability to stress and PTSD symptoms. A recent 2024 review in Life looked at the mechanism of intergenerational epigenetic inheritance of trauma. It defined 3 major transmission pathways. Firstly, the germline transmission changes to sperm and eggs before conception. Second, the prenatal environment. Stress hormones like cortisol during pregnancy influence fetal brain development. And third, postnatal environment. parenting behaviors shaped by trauma that perpetuates stress responses in children. These findings underline that trauma is not just psychological, it's also biological. One striking real-world case is the Dutch Hunger Winter of 1944 to 1945. During the last year of World War II, a severe famine struck the Western Netherlands. Pregnant women who lived through the famine gave birth to children who were smaller and had higher risk of obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease later in life. Even more striking, some of these health effects were observed in the grandchildren, the third generation. Epigenetic studies showed that famine exposure during early pregnancy left methylation changes in the IGF-2 gene, a key growth factor. The so-called famine marks persists for decades, showing how an environmental trauma can literally be inscripted in biology and transmitted onwards. This tells us what one generation suffers, another may carry in their body without ever knowing the story. Mark, this is not his real name, came to a Family Constellation virtual workshop with a heavy burden of anxiety. He was successful at work, had a loving family, but lived with a constant, irrational fear that something bad would happen. He said, "It's like waiting for a disaster that never comes." In the constellation, I asked Mark to choose representatives for himself, fear, and his grandparents. Very quickly, the picture revealed itself. Fear stood directly in front of him, blocking his path forward. His grandfather's representative, standing behind, carried a weight of grief so strong that he couldn't look at the family. We discovered that Mark's grandfather had fought in the war and lost his brother in battle, a story rarely spoken about in the family. The grief was hidden, unacknowledged, but present in the family system. In the family constellation, I guided Mark to bow to his grandfather and say, "Dear grandfather, I see your pain and your loss. I honor what you carried. Out of love, I took on some of this fear, but now I give it back with respect. I trust you to hold your story, and I take my own life fully." In that moment, the representative for fear stepped aside. Mark could breathe freely. After the workshop, he reported that for the first time in years, he woke up without a knot in his stomach. This parallels what the Dutch Hunger Winter study shows. The trauma of war and loss can echo through descendants. But in family constellations, by finding the trauma, acknowledging what's missing, and giving the pain back with love to whom it belongs, we release what isn't ours to carry. And this is what bridges science and family constellation. Science gives us a mechanism. Epigenetics shows us how trauma leaves biological imprints. Neuroscience reveals how these changes affect the stress response, the immune system, even metabolism. Trauma research demonstrates how these patterns appear in descendants who never experienced the original event. Family constellation gives us the language of the souls. Where science explains how trauma is transmitted, family constellation work shows us what it feels like in the soul: loyalty, entanglement, identification with ancestors. For example, in science we say methylation changes in sperm transmit trauma vulnerability to offspring. In family constellation language, we say, "Out of love, I carry what belongs to you, grandfather." Both points at the same reality, but one speaks in molecular terms and the other in systemic, relational images and directly to the soul. And only there lies the key for healing. Other professions are already using the science. Psychiatry is developing biomarker tests for trauma risks. Public health uses these insights to design prenatal care for stressed mothers, and education begins to integrate trauma-informed teachings, recognizing children may be carrying ancestral burdens. And, of course, since decades, Family Constellation is providing the safe space where the descendants can look at the ancestral burden and release them with the power of the orders of love. Science confirms what Family Constellation has shown for years. Trauma can indeed be inherited. But just as trauma travels through generation, so does healing. When we find the past trauma, acknowledge it and apply what's missing, honor those who came before us, and release what isn't ours, we create space for love and life to flow more freely for ourselves, for our children, and for those who came before us. Let's close today's podcast with a short meditation to connect with your ancestors. This can prepare you for a family constellation where you can unveil a particular intergenerational trauma that has passed down to you or your children. If you're driving, please save this for later. If you are somewhere safe, sit comfortably, place your feet on the ground, take a deep breath and close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Allow your mind to calm down with every deep breath you take, deep inside. Let all thoughts just pass through your mind like clouds in the sky. Come to the space inside where you're at peace, where you are safe. And here you imagine your parents standing behind you, and behind them their parents, and behind them a long line of ancestors stretching back through time. Notice their faces. Some may look strong, some may look weary, some may carry burdens you do not know. Silently say, "Dear ancestors, I see that you have suffered. I honor your strength and what you carried. Out of love, I may have taken some of it with me. Now, with respect, I give it back to you. What belongs with you stays with you. What belongs with me, I take fully." Place your hands on your heart and say to them, "I receive life from you all, just as it came, and I choose to live it freely with gratitude." Take a deep breath in. Imagine light flowing down from your ancestors through your parents into you, filling you with presence, strength, and love. Take one more deep breath, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you for listening. If you want to bring more happiness and freedom to your life and the life of your loved ones, please visit us at familyconstellationvirtual.com and sign up for a workshop, a training, or a one-on-one session. And check out our YouTube channel. If you sign up for our newsletter to stay tuned, you will also receive for free our guided meditation, The Gift, to help you connect with your ancestors.